Tuesday, August 19th here on the Plus, as always, brought to you by Ike's Sandwiches, our good friends at the Dubliner West Portal. Thanks to them for sponsoring. Thanks to you for being here. And thanks to everyone for saying hello to John Lund joining us once again. Good to see you, John. How are you, pal?
I am great. I'm stoked to be on your show because there's so much to talk about in Ninerland, and Trey Lance and Jim Harbaugh are coming back and more injuries. And you got a great couple of questions today that we were discussing before the show. So I'm stoked to be here, man. It's a good time.
Yeah, I think we got something interesting to hop into. And in the world of everyone's talked about that a million times, I don't think I need to hear more about that. I got a good question that I think is going to get people's minds jogging here, because you can take this on a positive, getting healthy jog, or you can take this on a, oh my God, I have to run away that hangover, I got to sweat it all out, negative jog. Like, there are two different ways to have a mental exercise, and that's what we're going to do here today. But thanks to everyone for being here. Hit like and subscribe. Make sure you do the same thing over at John Lund Unleashed on his YouTube channel as well. We grow together, we kick ass together over here in the world of YouTubing. So, look, in what feels like an almost forgotten certainty, because it's right there in front of us, there might be no element of this 49er season that means more to the actual outcome than the fact that Robert Saleh is back as defensive coordinator, and he and Kyle Shanahan built something pretty special the first time around and hope to do so again. Like all relationships, John, there's a lot of different things that could break this up the second time around. Not only does failure obviously break things up in sports, but success at the very highest level creates new opportunity, and that breaks up thing in sports. Don't believe me? Just ask Robert Saleh, who off of a Super Bowl run got a chance to be a head coach of the New York Jets. So what I wanted to talk about today, and for you and I to concentrate on, and what I want the chat room to get into as well today, is let's talk about how this started, how long Shanahan and Saleh 2.0 you would bet on going. And then, John, we'll talk about how we both think it actually ends. Does it end because of something good? Does it end because of something bad? Does it end because not enough of something in either direction actually happened? So I think that there's some interesting stuff here. To know where we're going, let's go to where it all started, shall we? The number on the board, John Lund. The number on the board is 64 regular season games. Shanahan and Saleh coached together for 4 seasons, from 2017 through 2020. They were together for 64 regular season games. This was a 16-game regular season back in the day. They were together for 3 playoff games that included a Super Bowl. So Shanahan and Saleh have already coached 67 games together, head coach, defensive coordinator, for the 49ers. So if I said second time around 67, over or under?
Well, I'd definitely go under. I think that for the main reason being, I think that Robert Saleh is going to get another opportunity. Everybody kind of takes the Jets and says, well, those are the Jets. He's still very well respected. He's very well organized. I think he's a different coach too, coming back from New York. You can tell just from a media perspective and from an honesty perspective. When you go to New York, can't bullshit people. You know this. You can't bullshit people, and they're going to see right through it. So what Robert Saleh has done, and I think that a lot of Pollyanna 49ers fans are ignoring it, he's told you every time he's gone to the podium, it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a while. These guys are young. We're going to start a lot of them. We're going to give them chances. We don't have any other choice. And there's going to be injuries in football. It's not like baseball or basketball where it's maybe. It's just a matter of who and when get hurt and how badly. So if you look at the defense right now, Mikael Williams is going to start out slow. I'm sorry. He's 20 years old and had the least amount of snaps coming out of college football last year at Georgia. He's going to take a minute.
We haven't seen him in a football game yet.
And he's missing valuable time. CJ West missing valuable time. Nick Martin, bad first game, good second game. Upton Stout was a talk of camp. He hasn't played for a while. Maybe today we'll find out at 11:30. But my point is that Marquis Siegel has looked good. I've seen him go forward. Can he go backwards? He's a safety. They're going to target him. So look, at the beginning of the season, and Robert Saleh has said it, and Fred Warner has said it, and Trey and Kyle Shanahan has said it. And it's kind of unusual in that way, but they've said the guys are going to take a minute, and we already know that. But they're saying it because they know when they go to Seattle in week 1, it might take a minute. By week 8 or 10, they hope they're still in this thing. Kyle does his usual callous magic. December, they get better, and hopefully they're a team to be reckoned with. But I think first and foremost, we forget that in 17 and 18, Saleh's defenses weren't great. Then he started to get more and more.
There were whispers about his job. I remember Robert Saleh not exactly being a fan favorite for a couple seasons there.
Yeah, so look, I think it's going to take a minute for the defense, and I think Saleh's a different kind of a guy. But I do think by the end of this thing, to answer your question, Saleh's going to get another opportunity because he's just very well respected in the league, and I really like the way that he's kind of transitioned. And then George Kittle said something, Pete Carroll's still running the same 3-deep zone that he was running in Seattle without that talent. He said that Saleh has actually evolved his defense. So, I love Saleh. I think he's going to get another opportunity. He's a leader of men, but it might look ugly early in the season.
I was saying to Larry on the wake up that we did the day after the 49ers and Raiders game on Sunday is that, if Robert Saleh is showing us this much aggressive defensive exotic blitzing up front in the preseason, what's he going to unleash in the regular season? Like, what is this guy cooking up? Larry kind of saw it negatively. Like, if you have to use this much razzle dazzle to get to the quarterback, that's a little bit of a problem. And I get what he's saying. At the same time, when you get dealt 2-7 offsuit, you can't just fold.
That's a great call.
You got to play, right? You got to play what you got. So I don't begrudge Robert Saleh for trying to do something to generate a little bit of pressure. And guess what? The little bit of pressure that he's tried to generate, it's gotten home a couple times already. So I like to see that. I think the guy's a brilliant defensive coordinator. I think he is more adept and open to evolving than even Kyle Shanahan has been at that first, hey, everybody's back on the practice field for, rookie mini camp. Robert Saleh talked to the media and said, you got to be 2 years ahead of an offense, basically. You have to know where the new is coming from. So that's one of the things that he's looking at. He's a smart guy. He's also, I think, smart enough to know that the 49ers are a really good and healthy situation for a coach to be in. I think has tasted that what is an unhealthy, toxic situation to be in. And even though you get the word head put on your business card, head coach instead of defenses coach, it might not be worth the price of admission. Like, I think Robert Saleh is happy with the 49ers, and his happiness being in a good situation where he can just concentrate on football and X's and O's is going to prevent him from being, I don't know, the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars when they hit that reset button for the 9th time in a row with nothing to show for it, or the Bengals, or the bumbling stumblings of the NFL who can never quite figure it out. I think Saleh will wait for the perfect opportunity more than he would just jump at the next opportunity.
And that's a great point, because to just go back to your question again, how long will these guys be? And I agree with you 100%. The other side of that too is, if you get one opportunity, and if the organization stinks, people understand that. But then if you go to a second one and that doesn't work out too, then you're not going to get another one of those. So let's use Shanahan's, for example. Mike Shanahan goes to the Raiders, falls on his face, goes to Denver, he succeeds. You better be right the second time, because the first time they go, oh, that's just the Jets. In Mike Shanahan's case, oh, that was just the Raiders at that point. But you've got to make sure your second one is right. So that may have him hang on a little bit more. Because he did, even after he got fired by the Jets, people knew that's the Jets. And he was in the hiring cycle this year. Even if he has a mediocre defense, or the defense gets a little bit better and people see that he can evolve young players, I think people will call Saleh. But I think you bring up a great point. He's got to be very selective in what he does, because if you bomb the second one, then they're going to say, okay, yeah, it might have been the Jets and it might have been the Jags, but you know what? You blew 2 and we're not giving you a third. You just don't really get a third in the NFL.
Yeah, it's tough to get that. Now, again, he's a young man. You do get multiple bites at the apple when you're young, and people still believe that you've been in bad situations and you'll rise above finally somehow, some way. But you're right. Getting hired a third time after 2 that didn't work out, it's hard for anyone. Corporal Tez says the same fans calling for Saleh's job back then are the same fans calling for Kyle to gotta go now. It's not worth giving them the time of day. Now, look, that's the thing. No one wanted to admit how bad those first 2 seasons of Shanahan were set up to be based on the roster, the massive turnover they were going through. And everyone was so sick and tired of waiting around for something better. They didn't want to wait around for that reset. Well, that brings us to, I guess, the new timeline that we've heard about. Hold on real quick. Nick J says, I wonder if Saleh will ever be a good head coach. Sometimes dudes are just meant to be great coordinators. Think LeBeau, think Schwartz, think Spags. You're right. I think I think Saleh's got those head coaches.
He's a leader of men, though.
Yeah.
I know he's a good defensive mind, but the difference between the guys you just said, I don't want to age myself, but like a Norv Turner, he got many opportunities to bite at the apple, as you said, as a head coach, but it came down to he's an OC. Whereas Robert, if you're around him for any period of time, and I know you have been, he's a leader of men. You can just feel it. He's that kind of. So I think when he gets a second opportunity, if he does the right thing, I think that he can be a leader of men. Kyle Shanahan, for example, even if Kyle never wins a Super Bowl, you can see it with the way that the players respond to Kyle, and he's still young enough and cool enough and everything. Kyle's beyond an offensive coordinator. Regardless if he wins the Super Bowl, Kyle is a successful head coach. He's a leader of men. And there are certain guys, like you said, who just are so good at the offense or so good at the defense that that's all they are, and they don't become more even though they try. Like I'll give Ben Johnson, I think, is a great offensive coordinator of the Bears, and it's going to be a great case study to see if he's a leader of men. Right. Harbaugh isn't really a master of anything. He's a leader of men. And right. You ultimately, at the end of the day, Belichick's a defensive guy. He's a leader of men. That's what a head coach has to be, because beyond the brilliance of what you are as an offensive or defensive coordinator, like use Kyle as an example. The reason Brant Boyer is here, he doesn't want to deal with special teams. The reason Saleh is here, he doesn't want to deal with the defense. The reason why Kubiak is a co-offensive coordinator is he's admitting he needs help. You can't do that job and be only the offensive coordinator and not worry about it, especially like last year. They made a major mistake. You got a rookie defensive coordinator. You got a bonehead special teams guy. Like Kyle, like I'm sure you saw this after the Raiders game. He said, look, Moody kicked great, the 59-yarder. But one the other thing, he was on a follow-up, he goes, I don't talk to kickers. Right. Look, he's not a special teams guy, man. John Lynch can say that he is all he wants. He's not. He wants to focus on that side of the ball, have an assistant, have Saleh take over the defense, have Boyer take over the special teams so that he can be a leader of men more than he has been in the past.
I think that you were right when you say, listen to what they're saying up at that podium. Neither John nor Kyle is really good at lying, right? Robert Saleh.
Especially Kyle.
Yeah, Robert Saleh is not particularly good at it either. And he's got no reason to. Again, it doesn't say head coach on his business card, so he can just go up there and tell you what he's thinking. Shanahan said, he's looking at this opportunity as a new 3-year window. So there's no way he says that out loud without some internal discussion and them thinking about that, and this being sort of the new timeline. I don't want to say that the two men or the franchises agreed on, but it sounds like they're kind of thinking about it. And I think that's the right way to do it. Saying that this has to be the Super Bowl or bust year is ridiculous coming off of the situation that last year was. And that's just not how football works. You can't just say, well, now it's our time. Okay, well, good luck with that. But they've said 3 years. I'm no math major, John. 17 times 3 is 51. So we're talking 50. What is it? 51? 17 times 3? 51.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Okay.
34, 51. Yep.
Thank you.
Very nicely done. I was told there was no math on the show, but you did it very well. Very nice.
51 games over under for this relationship lasting 3 solid years. 51 games builds in absolutely no playoff success or failure, by the way. So you probably, do you get to a third year without playoff games appearing here? I don't think so necessarily. So, but if I said that the magic number second time around is 51, over or under?
I'd still probably take under. It just depends on the hiring cycle, but I think that Robert will be the defensive coordinator for 2 years, but it just depends on what jobs open up. And then I've never been on the boat of Kyle's going anywhere and everybody can bitch and moan, and it's a popular, radio thing to talk about too, and all that kind of stuff. Like I think Kyle's great, but I also think that there is a limited time. If you're not the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think there's a limited time that a coach can be effective. And with Kyle Shanahan, I'm not going to say he's Harbaugh in the way that you're around him, because Harbaugh has a it's a burning fast fuse. It's Larry Brown, it's Jim Harbaugh. Those type of coaches is like, man, they're great, but they can only be in a place a certain amount of time. Kyle's going to have another job. I know we can comp Andy Reid or something like that, but it's just, you need another voice. There's so many, win one for the Gipper. There's so many now. He is getting turnover with these guys, and they're going to be older. So he is going to get a new batch of guys that he can put on or give those speeches to. But Kyle is a high burnout guy. And at some point, because football is his life 24/7, 365, he's going to need a year off, and then he's going to go to another team. Now, do I think that's within 3 years? I don't. But I do think at some point, if Kyle doesn't win this thing, it will be like an Andy Reid thing, and both organization and Kyle will be ready to move on.
Unless Robert Saleh's exit comes under the banner of 49ers Super Bowl champions, he gets hired to be the head coach of Team X.
Great point. Yeah, he'd be the number one candidate at that point, yeah.
Unless Saleh's exit comes under that banner, do you think that Kyle Shanahan would survive a Robert Saleh exit under other circumstances? Are their fates now directly tied to one another this second time around? Or do you think that over the next 3 years, the two of them could not win a Super Bowl together? Robert Saleh leaves for another head coaching opportunity somewhere else, and Kyle then gets to go hire yet another difference-making, this guy will be the difference here, defensive coordinator. Do you think Shanahan survives a non-Super Bowl defensive coordinator turnover?
The reason I don't is because he hasn't been very good at it. And look, it's been difficult on the 49ers because they get coaches poached constantly. Now, not last offseason because Nick Sorensen was fired and Brian Schneider was fired, and it was a 6-11 year, so that's a different deal. But kind of what you just pointed out here, I think Kyle needs a perfect storm. I don't know that he has the talent to take it all the way, but from a coaching perspective, to have Saleh so he can not worry about the defense as much, to have Boyer, who's a very experienced special teams, to have a guy who's, to me, like Mike McDaniel, where Kyle is a mad scientist, I get it, but he just needs a guy he can trust to say, okay, Kyle, what about this? Because you brought up a great point a minute ago. Robert Saleh has evolved his defense. Brant Boyer is going to be a difference maker. He's brought in his own guys on a special team standpoint. Kyle Shanahan, maybe it's a little bit more aggressive. I don't expect him to be Dan Campbell, but those fourth downs, especially when you have a kicker that is a little iffy, I'd like to see Kyle be more aggressive. I'd like to see Kyle, you're the offensive mind. Why not more 2-point opportunities especially against defenses that you see during the week? Maybe you can't handle that. He needs a guy, a checks and balances guy. And from what I understand, Clay Kubiak is somebody that he has a ton of trust in. My point in your question, I'm answering this a long way, but my point is that I think from a coaching standpoint, he's never been more stable for the people around him, which allows him to then be the head coach and the offensive coordinator, but also the head coach, which is important. In the past, or what you're talking about, he loses a Saleh. His track record's not great. Steve Wilkes didn't fit. Nick Sorensen, that was a stupid-ass hire, man. You don't hire – when you're trying to still win a Super Bowl, you're not hiring a rookie offensive coordinator. Should have fired Brian Schneider halfway through the year, but he's too loyal. So he hasn't had a great track record in replacing some of these coaches. And when Mike McDaniel left, he didn't replace him at all, which I think is a major mistake for him. So he's in a great situation. I just don't know if he has the talent. So to your point, if he loses Saleh and we don't know who he's going to hire as a defensive coordinator, and then he has to keep his eye on the defense a little bit more, and he doesn't trust that guy or that guy's younger, then that's problematic for Kyle Shanahan.
John, do you think it ends poorly or do you think it ends well? If you had to wager, next month's check on whether or not Shanahan and Saleh tick that Super Bowl box, everybody goes home happy, or leave the box unchecked and nobody's happy, we all know which the odds are in. The odds of them not finding success will always outweigh the end your championship odds. But I actually believe in these guys. I kind of believe in the organization. I sort of believe in the franchise. I believe that patience might pay off in this instance. I really do. I think that everybody here is Phil Mickelson before he won his first green jacket. I think it's coming. I do. I know why the 49ers have not hopped off this train. I also understand why 49ers fans are a little frustrated they haven't caught a new train at times. But I think you have to admit the train runs smoothly when things are going well, and all teams are bad when things start going bad.
Yeah.
I really hope it ends well. What do you think? How does it end for Shanahan and Saleh? A parade up Market Street or a flight out of town?
That is such a good question. The problem is, and I will give you an answer to this. The problem is that if, let's say it was a year or two ago, we knew the principles as part of this movie, but a lot of it depends on all these young players who we just don't know, because what we're seeing, and we're seeing this in preseason, I'm a little concerned about Bosa that he hasn't played, and it's not that he hasn't played and he's standing on the sidelines. This neck thing is a thing. And
but I keep on wondering if sore neck isn't their fancy way of saying Veterans Day off. I don't know.
It might be.
I don't believe anything I'm hearing about this team having injuries these days.
Yeah, and I agree with you, all these injuries, but to decide whether they're going to do well or not, let's break it down like this. They're going to score points. Kyle Shanahan offense is going to score points. Brock Purdy's going to bounce back. It comes down to me, what we've just been talking about, which is Robert Saleh. He's going to get the most out of this defense that he can. But is Mikael Williams and CJ West and Nick Martin and Upton Stout and all these guys, and I even put guys like Renardo Green. I mean, to me, the most important guy to walk on the field later this morning is Renardo Green. They don't have any corner depth, man. And so opposite Demo, well, they just won't throw at Demo. And these safeties are a little iffy to me. So Saleh has got to turn a defensive line. D. Winters has got to continue to do what he's doing. And then the secondary's got to come alive. But to answer your question, look, I have a ton of confidence in the organization, probably more than most. And I have a ton of confidence in Kyle Shanahan, despite the fact that he hasn't, put the ball over the goal line yet. But to me, it comes down to what Robert Saleh can do, and quickly with this defense, to decide whether they're going to do anything or not, because they'll score. And early in the season, they better score 30 plus, or they're going to get beat in a lot of games. And Seattle's better than people think. I think Mike McDonald's second year, the defense is going to be good. Clint Kubiak is their offensive coordinator. He has changed. They're running the football like they used to do under Pete Carroll. That's not going to be an easy game. They've got to probably score in that Seattle game 30 points. And so what it comes down to is if Saleh and Kyle are going to be successful in the next 2 years, it comes down to me, 100%, what are they going to do on defense? How good can he get this young group to play?
We are happy to welcome over 100 people in the stream right now watching live. Thank you so much. If you'd hit like and subscribe, we'd certainly appreciate that. We're not even at 50 likes yet. I mean, just tap that thumbs up button. It is really easy. Do it across both channels if you would, please. I got a goal here. I want to be at 50,000 subs by the bye week. That means we need some aggressive growth over the next 2-3 months here. So we're probably not going to hit the goal, but again, reach for the stars.
Let's go.
Maybe you grab something along the way to the stars, but go ahead, hit like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. And I don't know what you plan on doing for lunch today, but I hope you plan on doing it at Ike's. I hope there's an Ike's near you. I hope there is something delicious just waiting for you at Ike's. As a matter of fact, I know there is. And if you're already signed up for the Love Rewards program, my man's just putting $3 in your account right now. Use it any way you want at Ike's. There you go. Just a little something from Ike's to you as he celebrates National Sandwich Month, or as Ike calls it, my month. So there you go. It's National Sandwich Month at Ike's, and it is always come on in and drink your cares away month at the Dublin West Portal. If you've been watching Giants baseball, you haven't had to drink yourself into oblivion the last 2 games for the first time in a long time. They actually won, although they scared everybody last night. That's what they do. If you need to go and watch that one more preseason tune-up, 49ers and Chargers, check out Dubliner West Portal. Again, get your Ike sandwich delivered to you right at the Dubliner. You'll be very, very happy. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to hitting like. Thanks for hitting subscribe. And Johnny, we got some other NFL news brewing today. I guess we'll, as always, start with some 49ers news. And if you ever told me that not just one, but 2 Indiana quarterbacks would be dotting this roster, I would have said, you're out of your mind. And isn't it smart that the radio stations have America's highest profile broadcasting Hoosier to greet these guys? But no, they blew. Trace Jackson Davis is in the market. Nate Sudfeld's back in the market. We got Curtis Rourke in the market, and I'm off the air in the market. That just shows you what the damn market
CJ West. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I know he's not a quarterback, but man, I mean, he might be the best interior defensive lineman they have right out of the gate, man.
Nuts. Anyways, look, we'll try to get them all on the show. This show, we don't need no stinking radio stations to make that happen. It's their loss. It's your gain, YouTube. Nate Sudfeld back in the room. Okay. It's funny. I actually thought that Carter Bradley, after stinking out loud against the Denver Broncos, played well enough for me to say, okay, he's not just a coach's kid in the win in Las Vegas. I didn't think that this would be the week. They're adding somebody new at like 9 different positions. I didn't think quarterback was going to be one of them this week.
Well, you know what's amazing too, and I think people forget about this, the whole reason that I know they did it during the pandemic, but now they love having it. There's not multiple cutdowns. And one of the reasons why is they want to, like this 3rd preseason game, they don't want to play anybody. And so they throw all these guys out. It tells you how injured the 49ers have been, missing about 20 guys for the last couple of weeks in practice. They've got 90 guys on their roster that they rotate, and they still don't have enough guys to have joint practices and games and all that kind of stuff and keep guys out of games. So yeah, it's just been tough. But yeah, Sudfeld is probably just a camp arm to keep things going. They don't want to overuse these guys, even though Mac Jones wasn't very good against the Raiders. But I mean, they're set. They've got Mac Jones. They've got Brock Purdy. And you know what? Why not bring back Sudfeld? He knows the offense to a certain extent. Update him on it. And if there's any problem during the season, then you can bring a guy like Sudfeld back because he learned your offense in training camp.
I tell you, I kind of like the quarterback room. I really like Brock. I think that Mac Jones is very well suited to be a QB2. Not sold on him being QB1, but has could get you through a month if you got thrown overboard tendencies about him. Again, I'm not going to tell you what Carter Bradley is or isn't, or Nate Sudfeld is or isn't, but the fact that Curtis Rourke is going to come into focus here at some point. Of all Indiana quarterbacks, he is far and away the most impressive since the heyday of Antoine Randall L.
That's a great call.
I'll tell you right now, that room is getting interesting and I think improving. The running back room, if Corey Kiner stays healthy and really makes this team, it's going to be deeper than I thought. I don't know if he does, though. Keyshawn Vaughn, we just saw Jeff Wilson Jr. run pretty well, I thought, in a preseason game. Haven't seen a lick of McCaffrey. Isaac Guerrero, forever hurt. So that's a room that's funny. I should be more concerned about than I actually am. Not really concerned about the tight end room. I think the offensive line will figure it out enough to stay healthy and stay. What room are you most worried about? And the entire team, what room, what roster spot has got you the most worried as they start to approach the final picture here?
Oh, I'm going to throw out the wide receiver room because I think that's the Jerry Rice. And I don't mean that as a receiver. I just mean everybody's concerned about it because what's going on with Jennings. To me, and what I've heard is it's more contract than calf. So that's a problem because it was just calf. He'd be back from the beginning. But this thing started out, I had heard on Jennings that it was that they were going to do kind of what they did with Trent and with McCaffrey last year. Give him a little bump. He's fine, good. And then his camp started squawking about $18 or $20 million. And the 49ers went, dude, we just got rid of Deebo Samuel at that number. We're not putting that back in the wide receiver room. Sorry, we know you're pseudo number one, but we're not going to do that. So they're kind of at an impasse. So wide receiver room goes without saying. After corner, I mean, to me, after that, it's the entire secondary, really. I like Siegel. Pinnock, to me, is a special teams guy, so safety I'm concerned about. And if Renardo Green is not out on that field later this morning or any minute now, I don't know who's going to be opposite Demo. Upton Stout, I like him. I like what Lucas has done, so they're going to be okay in the nickel. But tell me who starts opposite Demo, because the problem is that it's kind of like the old days of Sherman. I don't have to throw at you, and Demo is not a Sherman. But what I mean is that if that's your best corner, I don't even have to throw at you. I can take on a rookie 5'8" nickel guy and test him, and whoever is opposite Renardo Green, Darrell Luter Jr., Jacob Robinson's undersized. I'm completely shocked, and maybe this will happen at the final cutdown day. Eli Apple was nothing. They got to get a veteran, man. Trey Brown was always hurt with the Seahawks. I'm not convinced on him. The opposite corner of Demo, if Renardo Green is not ready to go this week, you can officially start panicking.
I would say that is right on top of the list for sure. For sure. Here's the thing, Chase Lucas. Now, I don't know what he's going to do once this real season begins, right? There's not a lot of expectation for him to be a mover and shaker in the NFL, but what are we playing preseason games for if making plays in preseason games doesn't get you closer to a roster spot? This guy has been the 49ers' biggest impact defender over the course of 2 weeks. There's nobody who's made more defensive plays than Chase Lucas for the 49ers so far this year. And if that doesn't at least get him a sniff at a position, like you said, they need to be sniffing around. I mean, just look on your own roster. You got a guy who's playing pretty damn well here too. But yeah, the guy you might have drafted, the free agent you could have signed, like those ships have sailed. And now you're going to be dumpster diving after cutdown day around the NFL. And it's not like there won't be 31 other teams looking for cornerback play as well too. So you can't have enough of it. So that is a concern. Wide receiver, well documented. That's going to be a concern. Although I got to tell you, I'm starting to believe in Ricky Pearsall in ways that I didn't. John. I mean, I got to see it before I believe it. And I think I've seen 20 healthy days out of him in his career, and I've been impressed by like 18 of them. So keep it up, kid. I'm impressed by what I've seen from Pearsall. He might be, I don't know if he's a 1, maybe a 1B, 1A, not quite a 2, not quite a 1, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, look, as soon as he got healthy, and you and I were down at camp, as soon as he got healthy, his movements are different. He doesn't slow down in his cuts. He's got incredible body control. He's got great hands. He never drops the ball. It's only helped with him, and we're just a little bit nervous because of what happened last year, what happened at the beginning of this year. But we really don't have. I mean, I wouldn't call him injury prone, but when Ricky's on the field, there's no question. I think he's going to be one of the breakout players, not only of this team. I think if he stays healthy, I think he could be a breakout player in the league. I mean, I think we're talking about a guy who can catch 80 balls this year, well over 1,000 yards. 1,000 with 17 games isn't that much anymore. So I'm talking like 1,100, 7 or 8 touchdowns. Because you hear Brock, too. Remember, they worked out in the offseason. Brock's down in Nashville. Ricky came up. Ricky worked out with him. So they are on that telepathic way. That ball that Brock threw in the Raiders game between 3 defenders and Ricky was where he's supposed to be. He doesn't throw that ball to, Jordan Watkins. He doesn't, right. I don't know if he throws it to Brandon Ayuk because it's been so long, but they are on the same page. He's where he's supposed to be, and Brock is going to be looking for him. So like you said, I hope it's Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and then maybe it's a Russell Gage or a Jacob Cowling. I can live with that as long as it's McCaffrey and Kittle and everything else. If it's not Jennings and Pearsall has to be a 1, then that's probably an issue. But Ricky Pearsall, I say the 2 to Jennings 1 in week 1 at Seattle, I can live with that.
Final tune-up for the 49ers comes up on Saturday, 5:30. Harbaugh and Trey Lance and the Chargers coming to Levi's Stadium. If you'd like to put a little sprinkle on top of what a preseason game might be. Let's just wrap up with this too, John, in terms of the 49ers. Context matters, right? Context absolutely matters. No one watches a preseason game without wanting a running clock somewhere mid-third quarter, mid-fourth quarter. You just want to get over. The end of that 49ers and Raiders game, had it been a regular season game, it's the win of the year for the 49ers. It's the loss of the year for the Raiders, and it's maybe the win and the loss of the year of any game in the regular season. Had that been a postseason game, you tell your grandkids about it. Had a Super Bowl ended like that, it is the single most thrilling ending to a Super Bowl maybe in our lifetimes, until you had Tennessee Titans getting tackled short of the goal line. But it's a preseason game, so nobody gives a shit. Jake Moody, 37 seconds left, game tire, no time left, game winner. That was an unbelievable finish to a game we didn't even want to be watching.
No, it was cool. And you know what? It brings Jake Moody back, and so everybody wants to talk about that. And look, I thought overall it was great. The Raiders aren't the Broncos. I mean, the one thing you learn from the Broncos game is the Broncos have a really good defense. And the
Broncos are pretty damn good, yeah.
Yeah, they're good. And so, the Raiders aren't quite there, so you move the ball up and down. Jake made the kicks. The only thing about Moody, and I hate talking about it, is if you have to talk about the kicker, it's a problem. And I understand what he said. And look, he hit a long game time field goal, hit a 59 game winner. That's awesome. But when you miss one during the game and others look shaky, it's just when Moody goes out there, here's the bottom line to Jake Moody. When he goes out there, you do have to wonder, right? With a lot of kickers in this league, it's like he's going to hit it, no problem. Kyle hates wondering. As he's game planning with Robbie Gold, he's going 53 and in. I already marked it down that it's 3 points. Jake can miss a 36, doing right off the thing, and then he hits a 59.
2 yards.
And I just want to know what you are. You know what I mean? Especially as a sports fan, it's like, do you suck? Okay, then I can put you in that category. Are you good and I can rely on you? Then I can put you in that category. But I don't want to not know. That's the worst, isn't it?
And are the Niners believing in the young man because they really think the job is to be his? Or are they not admitting that they made the wrong investment in their draft pick and in their player, and it should have been Greg Anthony, who in a kicker competition had the better kicking numbers? Like, it is maybe there is an element of them trying to make fetch happen. In the meantime, I've suggested this to every single 49er fan. He's your kicker. You might as well be rooting for him because it doesn't seem to be changing. You can root against him so you can be right about how much you want to doubt him, or you can say, look, man, in a world where we're trying to get a little confidence to match the actual leg talent, hitting a game winner and tying the game, these are good, hopefully, forks in the road that is the road that he now keeps on walking down. But yeah, if every 3 weeks he's leaving a 31-yarder out there, that can't happen. I mean, that just can't happen.
Plus, young kids, I don't care who it is, they're on social media. They know it hurts their confidence. I hated it. When I was on the radio, every time Jake Moody would miss a field goal, it was funny. We'd call Joe Nedney, And Nedney would come on and go, I knew you were going to call me because I'm watching the game on Sunday, and he missed a damn kick. And, he'd go over the psychology of it. But like you hit it, you just said it perfectly. Jake Moody has all the talent in the world. There's no question about it. He's worked with a sports psychologist all offseason. The first game, let's say they're in Seattle, and he misses a chance to tie or win the game. Does Jake Moody come out of that game for week number 2 and he's okay? Or do they have to coddle him all over again and he lost any kind of psychological advantage he gained by his offseason work?
What does a sports psychologist tell a kicker?
It's a great point. Forget to have a short memory. That seems to be the problem with Jake, is that when he gets into a rut, much like a hitter, he the goalpost gets smaller, and because he just seems to have that about him. A lot of kickers are like cornerbacks. I just got beat for 80. Who cares? Demo Lenore gets run over by Ashton Genty. The next time he comes up and he's like, I'm going to kick that guy's ass next time. I'm okay. But with Jake Moody, if he misses one or doinks one, you might see 3 or 4 knuckleballs before he gets it right. And it's not only the ones he makes. This shouldn't be a thing, but like I want to see this majestic, right down the middle kind of thing. Jake doesn't do that a whole lot. Yeah, Jake doesn't do that a lot. There's not a lot of majestic. It's always kind of got some kind of a weird thing to it. Is going to make it? Is going to slip inside that upright? Yeah.
He's a line drive kicker, man. Yeah, that guy's out there with a 3-wood, putting it 220 down the fairway. There's no loft. He's not using a 7-iron. Anyway,
but it's all right. He made it. He deserves the credit. It's a hell of a kick. Right. But I don't think they're out of the woods on him quite yet.
Here's the deal I've made with myself. I will not be complaining about any kick, no matter how ugly it is, if he makes it.
That's good call.
Mental health. If it's if 3 points go on the scoreboard, job done.
I'm going to adapt that. I'm not going to steal it from you. I'll give you credit every time. But that's a great point. Because you know what? You're going to drive yourself crazy, because it's kind of like college. You take the pass-fail course. You get a D-, it's still a pass. Like you pass. So Jake, that's a great way to look at it. If he makes it, I'm not going to drive myself crazy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take an extra toke. I'm not going to take an extra shot. He made it. That's a good point.
Pointing my field goal.
We're grading makes. We can't do that. We'll drive ourselves insane.
Right. Curry doesn't want any made count or count to be count. He doesn't want any free throw to be counted as made if he grazes the rim.
Yeah, that's it. His trainer told us that one time, that when he's shooting threes, that if he hits rim, if he doesn't go all net, then they count that as a miss.
That's a miss.
We can't do that with Jake Moody. If it goes in, it goes in.
That's 3 points.
That's a good call by you.
Leslie says, I can't wait for the types of games where a walk-off kick wins. It reminds me of the epic moment at Lambeau. Robbie Gould in the snow. Legendary. Oh, those were good days, right? I mean, here's the thing. You didn't trust Robbie from 47 out, but in 45 and in, it was kick it and go home time. It was nice.
Yeah, we get over romanticized when it comes to Robbie Gould. I mean, he did miss some kicks, but I will say this: he never missed one in the playoffs. He doesn't miss them in the snow, like when you really need them. And here's the thing about Jake, man. We were at that Super Bowl. He made 2 50-plus yarders in the Super Bowl, and the second one was a 50-plus yarder to give him at least a temporary lead in overtime. So the guy can do it. I think that's what the frustrating part is.
Longest kick in Super Bowl history? Does he have the
record? For like a minute, and then Harrison Butker did the next drive. Kansas City got it, but still, I mean, look, the guy can do it, and he shows these flashes. It's just like I said, as a fan, and I'm sure even more so as Kyle Shanahan, it just drives you crazy if he, after he hits a 59-yarder, then next, this weekend at Levi's, he's going to doink a 36 off the upright, and you're going to go, fuck, do we have to go through this again?
Otis, I miss David Akers too. Oh, shout out David Akers, wherever he is. I'll say this. You know who, what Robbie Gould doesn't miss? Being a 49er. He did not. He didn't. No. He didn't really love it out in the Bay Area. I don't know why. I think he was a guy looking at the price of everything. He wasn't considering how delicious that dinner was. All he saw was the price on it, and he's like, you know how much this would be in another city? Get me out of here.
Well, yeah, because I mean, even in Chicago, I mean, he's sitting there going, I'm not making 20 million, 30 million. I'm making like 8. And that's a lot of money, but it's got to last the rest of your life. And he wants to be in Chicago, not California. So I get it.
Hey, we got a super over here from James Foster. Jake Elliott, 1 of 7 on 50-yard field goals and won a Super Bowl. Yeah, I think I've seen you put that up earlier this week too, and it's a good point. Like cold one day, hot the next. I'll say Jake Elliott in like a driving, rainy, windy night at the Link, dropped one of the all-time manliest field goals I've seen. I can't even remember who they were playing, but I was watching that Monday night game wrap up, and I was at Chase Center, so it was a Warriors game going on or something. But Jake Elliott kicked like a swirling wind 50-plus yarder with a house being dropped on him, and he nailed it. So, here one day, gone the next for some kickers.
Yeah, kickers are kickers, man. That's it. I mean, look, there'll be 3 or 4 that'll get released. The only thing that drives me crazy, and I just need to get over it because it's been years now, is like, Dallas will find a Brandon Aubrey in the middle of nowhere, and so will Detroit. And they didn't spend a 3rd-round pick on him. And that was always my thing. And I think I've gotten over with Jake, and I know a lot of people haven't, where it's like, if Jake Moody was a free agent addition, if Jake Moody was a 7th rounder, last pick of the draft kind of a guy, I think a lot of people would be like, okay with it. But in the year, of course, they traded all the picks for Trey Lance, but they took Jair Brown, and then 87, and I think they took Moody around 99 or 101 or something like that. And so it's like it was a sandwich pick between the 3rd and the 4th round. And if you're going to do that, then that's like taking it at, Al Davis took a 1st-round kicker, but I mean, that's really high for a kicker, and that puts pressure on that kicker. And that's part of the equation with Jake Moody and the fans.
Get him, Seabass. Sebastian Janikowski. Oh my God. The guy's rolling hard on Molly and making 55-yarders like laid up.
I just remember you went up the Raiders camps. The first Raider camp I ever went to, I'm walking in and I see this guy. I was far away, and he had the most gigantic golf club bag that I'd ever seen. And as I'm getting closer, I'm looking, and it's Seabass. It's Sebastian Janikowski. And I look at him, I'm like, oh my God. And you go out to their camp, he might kick 3 or 4, and then he was off to the golf course, man. Like totally. he wasn't in camp to kick, to sweat, to work.
Well, he was
kick a few, go to the course.
You were like, that's the kicker? Like, that guy's like 6'5".
He was unbelievable. Him and Leckler would just sit, and the great John Kondo would just sit and hang out. They'd kick a few, they'd hang out, they'd drink some water, and then I'm not even kidding you. By the end, the practice wasn't even over. They didn't do like, hey, Seabass kicked 5 field goals at the end. He left. He was hitting the golf ball by 3/4 of the way through practice. It was. I mean,
you weren't too far from the course up there in Napa, so you might as well, right? Red Jet saying you could tell Moody was relieved after hitting that field goal, almost like he had thought, I think I can. Got the bravado going on. Look, there's not a single player out there who believes that beating the Raiders that day was a good moment, and that's why they went out to celebrate it. They went out there to celebrate Nick Moody because every single one of them knows what he's going through. And you can tell it's really easy for a team to turn its back on a sputtering kicker and just be like, go get another one. Screw this guy. We don't need to mentally fluff him. He's got his own sports psychologist to do that. You could tell how much they mattered. They went out and greeted Nick Moody as a conquering hero in that moment. So I hope it comes together. I really do. Are you rooting for him or against him? Are you rooting against him so you can be right about how much you don't like him? Or are you rooting for him because if he plays well, that's good for the 49ers? If you're a 49er fan, might I suggest you root for Moody until London I give you full permission to not root for Moody.
Which is what he misses one. But, you bring up a great point, and I never thought of it like that, where at the end of that, because, Debo got in a fight with him, all that kind of stuff. They know he's going to be their kicker, and you might as well go out there and just say, hey man, you're our guy. Great kick. And if a 59-yarder, that's no joke. So, go out there. I know it's a preseason game, but you bring up a great point. Cause a lot of guys, so what, we want a preseason game. Let's walk off the field and get home. They did. They tried to give him a psychological boost. Cause they know, man, this is our kicker, man. Greg Joseph is gone. Jake Moody's our kicker. That's it. It's done. It's over.
2 more NFL stories that we got to get to before we kind of jump tracks and talk about a thing or two else. Daniel Jones. Indiana Jones. If you don't mind me saying.
Things could be worse, Niner fans.
Daniel Jones has beaten out Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. The Colts named them Daniel Jones, their week 1 starting quarterback. I think this says a lot about both guys. It probably says even more about the Indianapolis Colts and how sort of lost they've been in the woods since Andrew Luck decided to retire. Daniel Jones is a survivor. Daniel Jones is in a bad situation. I don't know if he's going to make the most of this situation right now. I don't know. I would not bet on Daniel Jones, but, good for him. He's had moments where he has looked thoroughly unfunctional, He's had other moments where you go, God, that guy's kind of an athlete, man. He's a big dude. Why isn't it working? Maybe it's the Giants. Maybe it's the round. Maybe it's a bad offensive line. I don't know. So we'll see. If you're Anthony Richardson, how crestfallen do you have to be? You were the 4th pick in the draft, and you just got beat out by Daniel Jones when every single person in the organization was trying to make you happen. You were fetch. They were trying to make you happen. And the word in Indy is that if you've been covering this team, this is no surprise to you. It's more of a surprise out of Indy. But Anthony Richardson is just immature, doesn't work, doesn't study, and can't stay healthy. Hello, Daniel Jones. This is your opportunity, and probably your last.
Well, what teams need to do off this thing, and this, and I like Trey Lance, and I hope that he's maybe turning a corner and can be a QB2 in this league. But all these guys who come in with very little experience, but these general managers and these teams, oh my God, he's just so athletic. They just can't help it, and they just turn in the card. Look, the guy was a runner at Florida, didn't play well. Just Trey Lance didn't have the opportunities. I mean, look, starting games in college matters. And if you had Brock Purdy on one side and you had Anthony Richardson on another, 99 out of 100, if given the choice, would take Anthony Richardson, because not only he's just more athletic and the arm strength and all those things, but they want to work with that piece of clay, and they make a mistake after mistake after mistake. And how many times does it have to happen that there's a guy who can play the position that started 55 games in college and knows how to do it versus a guy like an Al Davis, height, weight, speed guy who you've got to teach him to play at this level. And you just brought up a great point, which is, look, they'll give you a couple of years. We live in a microwave society in sports. If you don't get it done in a couple of years, you're out. So right. Shane Steichen is sitting there going, look, I was great in Philly, and we got some guys on this offensive side. We got, Taylor at running back and Pittman, and we drafted a tight end. And, they got to start winning in Indy. It's a bad division. Tennessee isn't going to be shit. Jacksonville always sucks. So you're just going up against the Texans. You've got to put the quarterback in there if you're Shane Steichen that can win you games right now. They don't have 3 or 4 years. You don't get that kind of time. Like Cam Ward, for example, in Tennessee, Brian Callahan's there. Okay, you get this year and maybe next year. And if he's not the guy, he was the number 1 pick, he's out, you're moving on. So I just don't understand that, like, the risk you're taking with an Anthony Richardson, a Trey Lance, these guys who haven't started enough, who haven't proven anything, versus a Purdy or something where you have that you can look back and say, look what he did in 50 games. It was a horrible draft pick. And now you're taking a guy in Daniel Jones, who was the 6th overall pick, and hoping you can resurrect him. But Richardson has been so bad, to your point. I don't know that Richardson gets another chance anywhere. He's going to be like Trey Lance. Yeah, we'll make you QB2 and we'll try to develop you. But during the season, QB2 gets, 20% of the snaps, 15% of the there's nowhere to develop, man.
Damaged goods, too. Anthony Richardson at the peak of his physical prowess without being an oft-injured quarterback is a lot more interesting than doesn't work hard, can't figure it out, can't stay healthy. Took himself out of a game.
Brutal.
Last
Plus,
year.
he takes a lot of hits. It's not college. You're going to get hurt. Like, I don't know what it is. They just can't help themselves. They just have to take the risk on that guy because the upside is so much. But, they look at guys like Mahomes, for example. Mahomes played a ton of games at Texas Tech. Like, he was unrefined, but at least you had an opportunity to say he's done it. The number 1 guy, and look, I was 100% wrong. Because I was working sidelines for then the WAC or the big whatever it was called when Allen was at Wyoming, I worked 3 or 4 of his games, and I worked one where the wind was like crazy and they were playing Boise State. And he went something like 8 for 22. He just looked horrible, and it was in Laramie. And I remember going, this guy's not making it in the league, and everybody was talking about his first rounder. When the Bills took him 7th, I thought, oh my God, he's going to be terrible. But he worked. He busted his ass, and he worked, and he listened to people, and he went to the right people in the offseason. And so there's a process to where you can do it. But like you said, the immaturity of Anthony Richardson reminds me like Jamarcus Russell-ish. He just thought, I'm just going to come into this league and run over everybody. And it just doesn't work like that.
It does not work like that. Physical prowess, the NFL is not impressed with your physical prowess. Physical prowess is the bed that everybody gets out of every morning in the NFL. So everyone comes with a degree of physical prowess. You're going to have to. This is where the game is won, professionally, more than anything, especially a quarterback. And that brings us to the other guy I wanted to talk about. I don't have to ask you, do you remember? Because it was a question that was literally in the front of Funny and Goofy Sports Talk for 5 years in a row. Is Joe Flacco elite? Is Joe Flacco elite? Here's the thing. If I'm Joe Flacco, I'm getting a T-shirt that on the front it says elite, and then it's crossed out, and then underneath it says tenured.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joe Flacco is ever elite, but this motherfucker's about to have his 18th year. He is the Browns starting quarterback. He's got all sorts of whippersnappers just biting at his heels, and he's held them all off again. Joe Flacco remains. I respect it. I respect Grandpa Flacco. I used to not be a big guy. I watched him carve up. He had one. So Joe Flacco, I know that was Ravens D and deer antler spray and Ray Lewis at his nastiest. I get it. Joe Flacco was unbelievable that postseason run. He was perfect. He didn't throw an interception. He had like 12 touchdowns. He was fantastic. As good of a postseason run as you can have. And then after that, they gave him an awful lot of money. Is Joe Flacco elite? And the answer was no, not really. But he's still here, John. Can't get rid of him.
Well, it just is so reflective. We're talking about the Niners getting frustrated, but I mean, you draft a quarterback in the 3rd round, you draft a quarterback in the 5th round, you bring in a former 1st-round pick and pick it, and then Joe Flacco beats them all out. And you're going to carry, Adam Schefter said yesterday, they're going to carry 4 quarterbacks when most organizations are carrying 2 with kind of a, hey, we'll bring you back if we need to kind of a thing. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the hell they're doing. And it's nothing against Joe Flacco. It's just, in my mind, I could be wrong, but that's a tough division. Pittsburgh's going to be better. Cincinnati's good. You're going to be fighting for last place. The Ravens are great. So you're the 4th best team in that division, and you're going to go with Joe Flacco to win, 5 games? I mean, I like Joe Flacco, and he should be the starter. He's probably the best player. But Dylan Gabriel's a 3rd-round pick out of Oregon, who I thought was overdrafted, but still, it's like you're going to be in 4th place with or without Joe Flacco. That you're really going to go with a 40-plus-year-old guy to win 5 games? Then where are you? Where's your organization then?
Doesn't make any sense from a developing, building towards a brighter future standpoint, but the Browns don't know anything about that, so they don't know what.
And I don't want to rip Flacco. Everything you said is awesome, and I think it's great he's getting the job, but I'm going, well, because here's what's going to happen. They're going to start out 0-4, 1-4, something like that. Then by no fault of his own, Flacco's going to get benched, and they're going to bring one of those guys in. Pickett is just what we talked about with Richardson and all these other guys on the scrap heap. He's no good. And so now I got to make a decision. Do I take my 3rd rounder or 5th rounder? It's just, they're such a mess of an organization. I mean, they are a mess.
What I would really like to see happen, just for like my own curiosity, I don't want it to happen to him. I'm not here to laugh at anything Shador is or isn't doing. I'm not here for the social media pointing, laughing thing at all. But it would be fascinating to me if they put Shador Sanders on their practice squad. Any team in football could come get him. Would they? Would a team come for after everybody passed on him 4 times in a row?
Yeah, you'd have to put him on your roster because, like you said, you can't go practice to practice. You got to put him on your roster.
Would anybody come for Shador Sanders if they practice squatted him? I wonder. I really do.
That's a great question because so many teams could have had him at any point, and it probably would have been good value, and everybody just said no. So, off the top of my head, I think Jerry Jones just because Deion's there, but I don't think Dallas would even do that. I don't. But they might. I mean, because that's what Jerry likes, right? Jerry likes publicity. He said it the other day at that premiere where he was like, look, let's be honest. Basically what he said is, I'm more into people talking about us and everything around it than I am winning games. And by the way, I'm the most valuable franchise. So see, it works. Like maybe he would just because of the publicity. There's no bad publicity in Jerry's world.
Did I send you show notes this morning? Because this is exactly where I'm going in the entire show. This is our 3rd. We talked Flacco. I asked my Shador question. We talked we talked Browns. We talked Richardsons. We talked Colts. We talked Danny Dimes, Indianapolis, Indiana Jones. We did it all. Are you going to watch the Dallas Cowboys thing on Netflix? It's supposed to be really good. Precincts are reporting this is good. Awful Announcing said it's not as good as The Last Dance. It's better. Between the 90s nostalgia, big personalities, and focus on behind-the-scenes drama of decades-old dynasty, it's easy to see the parallels. And considering the obvious overlap, both projects possess plenty of appeal to millennials of a certain age. us, John.
Exactly.
Old fogies like you and me. These were the teams that dominated our high school times. All sorts of nostalgia and 90s music. I mean, there's probably like a cutaway of Daisy Fuentes wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey. You can't get more 90s than that, right? It'd have to be one of those white stars on the shoulder Cowboys jerseys too, the throwbacks that they brought back there for a little while.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I'm kind of interested, but I just don't know if I can invest 8 nights. It's an 8-part docuseries.
Yeah.
8 parts. I don't know if I got 8 hours for the Cowboys, this hardly covered, undiscussed football team that I'm never sick of. But I might watch it. I might start. I might check out one and see if I stick around.
You know what? Anything involved in Jerry, and I covered that team, anything involved in Jerry, and the difference is that he will give anybody full access. He wants them to be talking about them, contract things. Plus, you know what the dynamic is in Dallas that's really weird? Like, we have a lot of former 49ers here, and it's really cool. In a lot of cities, wherever you kind of were great, then you're going to have a great business dealings, and people are going to know who you are, and so you're going to make it a little easier on yourself if you stay there. But in Dallas, they're really high-profile guys, and they're very outspoken about the team. Troy Aikman, as one of the number one teams, he's always talking about the Cowboys. He's disgusted with them. Deion Sanders is there. Michael Irvin is there. Like, all of those guys were the obnoxious Cowboys against the Niners. They all stayed there, and they constantly are ripping Jerry Jones. So it's just and football is everything in Texas. So I just think that it's going to be awesome. Jerry's never going to say, no, hey, Jerry, can we get a camera into this closet? I know you guys are going to the bathroom here, but can we put a camera there? He's like, hell yeah, put it everywhere. Like, he will give them access. He will give them players, because the thing is, he wants to have people talking about him in publicity more than he wants a Super Bowl. He's a businessman at heart. And so all these things he will put 100% into, even more so than his football team. So it's got to be good.
I guess what he doesn't understand, and what I would walk up to him if I were his sports psychologist, and I would say, Jerry, if you think bathing in negative attention and just any attention does well for you and your brand, imagine if you put together an actual winner.
I know. Can you imagine?
Like, what if the Dallas Cowboys did win the Super Bowl? Would they instantly now be worth $15 billion? I mean, it's one thing to have a product and still have success, even though sort of dying on the vine. It's another thing to have all of the means in the world to get this right, still not get it right, and almost be unaffected by that or not care about that. That's where Jerry, I think, should have completely lost the fan base by now.
I think that the fact that where he's really gone crazy and off the rails in this whole thing, and I really do believe he believes this, like when you have a series, there's so much great TV out there now, and it's always an up and down, and you always think they're going to get to that pinnacle point, and then they never do. That's Jerry. I almost feel like he's afraid to win a Super Bowl now, because then it's like, well, everything's good. Where's the controversy? He thrives on the controversy. For example, they're starting out against the Eagles on that Thursday night. I really believe that one of the reasons he won't sign Micah Parsons at this point is because he doesn't want them all talking about the Eagles, because the minute he signs Micah Parsons, what's there to talk about with the Cowboys? So he's trying to sandbag this as long as he possibly can so that it's not all about the Eagles on Thursday night. He'll sign him a day before, but he wants them to talk about him all the way up to that game.
Right. And there's a part of me as a bit of a carnival barker and a promotion guy. I get it. Guess what would be even better for you, though, as a franchise? Micah Parsons starting at middle linebacker will be better than any amount of Stephen A. Smith is talking about you. And the games do matter. As a matter of fact, they matter more than anything. And Jerry has totally lost sight of that. Again, how long were you in Dallas? How many years of your
4
career?
years I was in Dallas, and it was a circus. It was a circus I'm not kidding you. It was a circus, between Cuban, because I was there when the Warriors beat the Mavericks as the 8th seed.
Yes.
So, I mean, it thrives. That whole market thrives on that circus atmosphere. And I almost think that Jerry's got to the point where Al Davis got, where he's just lost it. And he doesn't know what his priorities are. And he has a bunch of yes men around him.
Right.
His son, Jerry Jr., is just a drinker with him. And then Stephen used to be the voice. Stephen Jones, who runs everything, used to be the voice of reason, but he's started to go south too. And so they've all got this kind of warped reality of what it's almost like reality TV for them. And it's not, even though, like you said, you bring up a great point. The logic says you'd even be bigger if you won, but I think he likes the chaos and the controversy more.
By the way, Checking us out all the way from Jürgen Flurgenland over there
nice.
in Greenland. Jonas Ymir Johansson.
That's awesome.
Year 9 for Kyle. I'd take Saleh over him. Tired. Just give it a little time here. He has definitely lost his faith in Shanahan. I hear you. I get it. But be patient. And again, before they played a single snap this year, it's not the time to be giving up on anybody. You're about to start a football season. You're not at the end of it.
Yeah, we're supposed to be optimistic at this point. Kind of.
So you were around Giants winning World Series. You were around the Warriors' birth of a dynasty. You were around all the attention that came with that. You were around for the city of San Francisco hosting a Super Bowl. You've been around for trips to the Super Bowl with the 49ers. Is a Niner trip to a Super Bowl as big of a media event as Cowboys Eagles on a Thursday night, week 4? I mean, it's just because I think that we take things reasonably out here in the Bay Area, and some people say, well, that mean you're not as intense. Bullshit. There's some sports intensity out here, but it's not worn as a brand of identity the way that it is in Dallas. FP Santangelo. When I was doing 49er postgame out at Sam's Chowder House a billion years ago,
yes.
FP was living in Half Moon Bay, and his at the time wife was working at Sam's. So he would come on in, have a little dinner, drink, and when I wrapped up the show, FP and I would get to some talking, and he would tell me great baseball stories. And one of the things he told me, I'm not talking out of school for FP, and this was confidential. I didn't think he was, but he basically said, hey man, I was a Montreal Expo, I was a San Francisco Giant, and then I got a cup of coffee with the New York Yankees. He's like, the cup of coffee with the New York Yankees made me feel more Major League Baseball than being a Giant or an Expo ever did. Like, you have no idea what it's like to be a major leaguer until you are a Yankee. That is some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing covering sports, it's been like that for you. You've had some really, really big things, but just being around the Cowboys in the regular season has to be a level of ridiculous that not even a Warriors dynasty can bring to the table.
But the thing is that just to defend the Bay, and then, it's a great point. For a West Coast city, I think we take a backseat to nobody. I mean, in terms of you've been on the road too. I mean, the Niners fans and the way that they travel, and that's more like the Steelers. I mean, I was in Pittsburgh too. They go everywhere. But the difference with the Cowboys is that in Texas, and this is no joke. So we lived by this high school that is basically the equivalent of what De La Salle is here. So on Friday night, they had a 50,000 seat stadium, and my wife and I could go at 7:00 to the nicest place.
By the way, what's the high school? What was it?
I'm drawing a blank on it. It's all the Cowboys kids went there. It's Southlake, Texas,
okay,
Southlake High.
Baker Mayfield went, right?
Exactly.
So my buddy lives outside of Austin too, and is right there. So.
Yeah, Southlake is what De La Salle is. It's always top rated. They recruit all the Dallas Cowboys kids go there. Dion's kids went there. Nate Newton, all of them. They all go there. So anyway, long story short. So on Friday night, you go out to anywhere you want, and it's a 50,000 seat stadium in Southlake. And you don't have to have a reservation anywhere. Now at 9:30, everything gets out, and it's crazy. Saturday, I took a helicopter to the University of Texas because I was working for ESPN down there, and they're like, yeah, come down. They fly me from Dallas to Austin game day. I mean, it's ridiculous what the University of Texas is. So every Saturday is everything about football, and people went to the University of Oklahoma and they're living in Dallas. It's insane. And then the Cowboys, though, are kind of like the king of it all. And so when it comes to, and all due respect to Mark Cuban and everything, when the Mavericks lost to the Warriors, it was like a one-day thing. It was like, oh man, that's terrible. Anyway, and it's just a fervor that is unmatched. We could sit there, you and I wouldn't do it because that's not the way we do things. But you could take phone call after phone call after phone. That's all your show could be if you wanted it to be. It's boring, but you could. And it's just, this, that, boom, boom. You could be a button pusher if you wanted to. They just don't get enough. I'll give you one final great example. So I'm working for ESPN. I was hosting an afternoon show and I'm running the station. Tony Romo was our weekly show that we did. He was backing up Drew Bledsoe. Well, of course, he comes to be the starter. And we were doing this at a little apartment complex in their clubhouse. They were paying us money and all this kind of stuff. It was a company that basically owned a bunch of complexes. And there was that thing could probably hold 200 or 300 people. And when we did it with Tony Romo, when he was a backup, it was fine. It was no big deal. He becomes the starter. We have to move this thing, not just to a restaurant, but to one of those, Buster's or whatever the hell it's called, Dave & Buster's. I mean, this thing,
Right,
there was
an auditorium.
Yeah, they had an auditorium in there that had about 1,000 people, and then it was just a wreck of people. It was thousands. We had to get security. We had to keep bumping the thing up bigger and bigger. They just can't get enough. I mean, and when they lose, it's all the talk. When we lose, and again, we're great sports fans, but we'll drink wine, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll travel, we'll go to a beach, we'll go to Tahoe. We do something. In Texas, that's it. Football, high school, college, and pro is all they do. There's a side of some basketball. There's a little bit of Rangers if they won a World Series like they did under Bochy. There's really nothing else to it. It's football, and if it's not football season, then it's recruiting. Like you sit there, and it just wasn't my thing, but I did a show on it. It's like this kid from played 7-on-7 in DeSoto, Texas. What do you know about him? I mean, it was like, what?
Right.
I mean, that's all they do.
Look, I was in Columbus for a little bit doing.
There you go.
Ohio, and you could. The way that we would put together like a World Series watch party when the Giants were in the World Series and a few hundred people would show up and get excited and be friends together and be excited together. In Columbus, Ohio, you could get together saying you're giving away game-worn dirty socks from last week against William and Mary, and you'd have 6,000 people show up in these dirty socks.
Yeah, it's just
a different way of living. And I'm not saying that they're doing it right or we're doing it wrong. That you don't want to be the desperate for dirty socks people.
No, but it's an upbringing, right? I mean, that's, I guess, my overall point in what you're saying is the same way. Is just it's just an upbringing, and there is really, I mean, the NFL does a tremendous job of it, but in Texas and in Dallas, there honestly is no off season. You talk about it all the time, and look, even if the Rangers are going to the World Series, even if the Mavericks are going to the NBA Finals, they're secondary stories in the offseason. And it's just how it is. And they can slip a little bit in there. And that's why Cuban would get so pissed off, is because it didn't matter what the Mavericks did. They couldn't even come close. And Jerry would laugh about it. And here's the other thing. Jerry, there's 3 sports stations in Dallas. Jerry was on all of them. And they would pay him to come on every week. And the flagship would get all pissed off. And Jerry's like, what do you think I'm going to do? Just go on your station? Like Kyle and John go on one station, or a player will go on. Right. Jerry goes on everything. Jerry waits for the media, by the way. When they have a shitty game, and everybody's like, well, the owner's going to run away. Jerry has a spot in Jerry World where he stands and waits for the media.
Oh, he's asking guys with their quarters, do you need any fresh batteries?
Exactly. He stands there and waits like, okay, is everybody here? Everybody here. Let's get everybody together and let's start talking about that game. And, it's just, that's what he does. I mean, it's just a different mentality, man. It's wild. It is wild. And I don't think it is as good. It's just like you can eat filet or pizza every day. It's like after a while, it's like, okay, could we have something different? Like that's just what it is.
Right.
You get bored of it as a sports host, honestly, because it's just like, oh my God, it's just constant.
Yeah. It could be the middle of the summer and I'm getting calls about a junior rising high school kid from Massillon, Ohio. Do you think he's going to go ahead and make
and you're like, is this my life? Is this what I'm doing with my life? Talking about some kid who's in 8th grade right now? God,
where
I don't miss that, man.
Where did I go wrong?
I don't miss that at all. That was the worst. I can talk about you can talk about the offseason and stuff, but when these recruiting dorks would call you up and be like, about Texas football, like you said, Ohio State or something, it was like, or down south, Bama and stuff it's like, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't talk about a 9th grader.
Rich Eisen hosted Sports Center for the first time in 22 years last night. I saw a shared open. They went with the old classic ESPN graphics. They busted out the old ESPN saxophone opener. And did I say saxophone? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The big
saxophone actually sounds better.
Yeah, the big brassy ESPN old Sports Center. And I'm telling you it felt like home for just a second, but I also got to be honest, outside of seeing the highlight clip, I didn't watch a minute of it. There's nobody that they could bring back to host Sports Center that would make me think I got to watch that again.
No, I think you bring up a good point, because I did the same exact thing. And I did see some clips where he was talking about, too bad Stuart Scott's not here because they were a combo back in the day and everything. And I really like Rich Eisen. I mean, he's a great guy. I'm sure you've met him before too. I mean, he's just a tremendously great guy. But like you said, and I'm going to ask you a question. ESPN having all this stuff, I mean, they get Inside the NBA, they get the NFL Network, they get Red Zone, they get WWE. I mean, I'm starting to look at this thing, and it's a monopoly. I mean, they're going to have everything, and the way they scream, and it just scares me. It's like, look, if you want to scream and yell during the day, whatever, but the shoulder programming around actual sports deserves better. And so I'm just hoping, because essentially, what are you going to do? Like, okay, Fox Sports has a few football games here and there, a little bit of baseball, whatever. But anything that's anything right now, for the most part, ESPN has. And they're going to keep trying to get more. And they got this streaming service that they're going to throw out. And I know Fox is going to be part of that. And that's probably going to be the future of TV. Like, it's just going to be piecemeal like that. But, I mean, what do you think of that? Like, ESPN basically has, I don't know, 80% of control of sports right now. I don't know that that's a good thing.
So I was doing a show about this with my buddy Sam Batesh just last week, and he said his main takeaway is ESPN is one. I mean, there is no other, the other network, there really is no other network. Fox Sports 1 has a few properties, but compared to what ESPN's got, ESPN has cornered the market of all sports, everything, to the fact that the NFL wants in. The NFL wants
right.
in. The NFL is interested in acquiring you. You are officially doing something right.
Well, I mean, they believe that look, we can't do any better with NFL media, and they don't put as many resources to it. So they're like, you just take it over. We'll take 10%. We'll make some money. That'll be our way. Look, I don't think it's going to change in the short term. Scott Hansen's still going to do his thing, but knowing ESPN, because they push everything so far, and you work for them too, is, the one thing I know they're going to do right away is, okay, Scott Hansen's going to do his thing, but I guarantee you there's going to be a crawl under there. There's going to be betting things under there. I mean,
there'll be something.
They're going to mess with it. And at some point, there's going to be a guy that's going to take over, or a woman that's going to take over, that is going to push it too far. And you're going to go, all these people talk about like Pat McAfee on Red Zone channel. That's not going to happen. But all these little subtleties are going to go one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then at some point, you're going to go, they did it. They ESPNized it. They did it. So we'll see. But I don't think it's a great thing.
The minute Kendrick Perkins is out there, I'm going to be pissed off. There's no
like on Inside the NBA, if they have Kendrick Perkins or Stephen A. for just a cameo, I'm out. Like, no. Like, please don't do that. Like, that's where I get nervous. Is it's not at the beginning, because I think that'll be subtle. But then it's like, oh, we did this. Well, we can do this. And when we did that, we can do this. And then it's just 5 years from now, we're going, God, remember when Red Zone was just like Scott Hansen holding his bladder for 8 hours? Like, that was awesome. And
those are the good old days.
Right.
The good
now
old
there's
days,
commercials and betting things and crawls and,
We'll see how they screw it up. I will also say that there are probably enough smart people in the room to not go about doing anything too dramatic too quickly. It'll be a slow burn. It'll be a slow burn. Like, we got a whole bunch of toys upstairs that the boys don't play with anymore.
Yeah.
If we start asking the boys to get rid of the toys upstairs that they don't play with anymore, they'll rediscover them and not want to give them away.
That's such a good point.
So what Billy and I are starting to do is we're removing 4 toys every day. They can't notice it. They haven't noticed. We just pull 4 toys off of the shelf every day. And we figure that it'll be just a great toy migration. And they won't even really notice that it happened.
That's a good call.
You got to play it subtly. You got to make your big changes subtly when people get emotional about things. I'm emotional about my Red Zone. My kids are emotional about the toys. You got to make subtle changes. Can't be dramatic.
Right. That's a good call right there. That's smart.
Thank you.
That's what Red Zone will do. They won't do it right away. It's just going to be a crawl, a bet thing. And then all of a sudden, then he's going to bring on guests, and it's like, oh.
As I thinking about what people are complaining about, they're like, but the journalism.
When's the last time ESPN was journalistic?
That's what I thought too. If you don't think that the NFL already is putting its finger on the scale of journalistic choices for all of their media partners, you're out of your mind. Yeah. That's already happening. That is already happening.
Well, don't you think that, and maybe I'm 100% wrong in this, maybe it is creative differences, as Spike Lee said, but it is fairly ironic that the minute that, the Kaepernick thing is supposed to come out, that all of a sudden they're having creative differences and it's never going to see light of day when NFL is now bought into ESPN. Like, come on, man. I'm sure the NFL went, look, man, you can throw out a lot of stuff here, but we don't want to restoke the Colin Kaepernick thing. So could you not run that? I mean, that's I'm sorry, but that's just too ironic for me. That's at the timing of it and everything that they went, oh, well, we have creative differences. I mean, Spike Lee said yesterday, it's creative differences, and I got to leave it at that. And what he means by that is ESPN paid me to shut up, and that thing ain't seeing light of day.
I'm gonna get access to something else because they took access this away from me, but they bought my silence.
That's where this is going to go. And like you said, you brought up a great point. Look, E is for entertainment. All right. It's not for ethics. So ESPN is not ethics. It's entertainment. So that's what they're going to do. And they're not going to do, that's what's going to be interesting too about it, not to get too deep, but like, look, they're going to talk about lack of minority hiring. There is going to be drug issues. There are going to be domestic violence issues. Is ESPN going to delve deep into that, or is ESPN going to have LeBron highlights and screaming A yelling? It's going to be the latter. They're not going to all of a sudden, go deep into this stuff. That's not what these sports entities want, and that's who they're in bed with.
By the way, you say E is for entertainment. There isn't an E to be found in the words San Francisco Giants, but they have they played at 4 early runs last night. I mean, I haven't seen them jump on a guy like that in a long time. You had home runs, 2 home runs. You had Ramos lead off the game, Devers after him. You had Flores with a poke there, and then they didn't do anything else offensively. They didn't score another run. They held on for a 4-3 win, and that was really nice because the Padres got screwed out of a home run last night. 100%. They said that Ramos was interfered with. He was not. Again, I'm not going to be complaining about made Jake Moody field goals the same way I'm not going to be complaining about how you won a game. Giants just need some wins. You're at the can't complain about wins portion of their year. We'll see if they can put 3 in a row together tonight down in San Diego. What do they got? Pootie Tang on the hill tonight.
Yes.
Tang.
Yes.
Tang. You ready for Pootie Tang?
That's a great call.
Underrated movie.
They're just so hard to watch. And you and I are on the same page on this, man. We love Bob Melvin when he was an A, right? And they overachieved and he was great. And we went out to spring training. It was great to my son and everything. But, going back to the Padres, I mean, his teams are underachieving and they're just, there's something missing. I don't know what it is. And I'm not into just firing guys for firing guys, but something's got to change here, man. And what it reminds me of a lot is, Brian Schneider, just the special teams for the Niners last year was so bad. And it's like, how's he still hanging around? I love Pat Burrell. How's he still hanging around? Like every guy is underachieving with the stick. What's going on?
At what point do you need 3 months of collective atrocious situational hitting? Is that what because you had 2 months and that wasn't enough? How many months in a row of a up and down the lineup atrocious approach would you like to see before you do something different?
I mean, don't you just have to, it's kind of like life itself. Like, okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. That didn't work. Let me try this. Like, you just have to keep trying. And just because you have somebody for 162 games in this long season doesn't mean you got to keep them. And I'm not saying Bob should go now, but Pat Burrell should have been got at midseason or just right out of the gate. It's just, you've got to try to do things. You can't just throw seasons away. And it's not Pat's fault. I understand that. But when 80 to 90% of your batting order is underachieving to the back of their baseball card, there's a problem and you need a new voice. So I just don't think they did enough. I think that Devers is getting criticism that is not fair. I mean, he's going to be over 30 home runs and 120 RBIs this year. When's the last time a Giant did that? Now I know some of it was at Fenway, but he's not the problem. But they have some inner workings on that team because they're more talented than this record. Now maybe not since trade deadline and they got rid of the relievers, but I mean, they should have been better than what their final record is going to say they are. This should be better than a 500 team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, Red Jet back at home after a big work trip. She's saying Pootie Tang made me that much more happy to be at home. You're welcome, Red Jet. I hope
that was good.
We're just trying here to Wapata all the baddies. That's all we're doing. That's all we're looking to do.
That was
all right. One last note before Today in History, and we got a fun ending to Today in History here, John.
I'm excited.
It's a career that probably not a lot of people cared about. If I hadn't seen what he did to my Hoosiers in person, I don't know if I would have cared as much, but for a minute there, John Wall was the fastest human being on the planet with a basketball in his hand. John Wall made Allen Iverson look like he was walking the ball up the fucking court. That's how fast John Wall was. John Wall with a 10-10 double-double dominated my Hoosiers in a way that no one with ever just a 10-10 double-double dominated a college basketball game. There was no one who could stay in front of him. There was no one who could control what he was doing. He was so fast. And John Wall is officially retiring. Now, he hasn't played at all over the last 2 years. He hasn't played more than half a season in any of the past 6 seasons that he actually did play. Most people probably haven't thought of John Wall in a decade because he hasn't been out there, and here he's retiring today. You're like, I thought he'd retired a long time ago. John Wall, in my lifetime, John, is one of the all-time might have been, could have been. He's a first-team all-time might have been in my basketball lifetime. No doubt about it. He had serious talent. He had ungodly, never seen before speed. He played defense. He was so good. And then he's a wizard, and that kills everything. And then he gets hurt, and that hurts everything more. Career earnings, $276 million over 13 seasons. You want to divide that into games played, John? John Wall is one of the greatest compensated professional athletes of all time. He played 647 career games, which means for games that he actually was played in, measured against his career earnings, John Wall made more than $425,000 in every game he actually played.
Boy, that's nice. That's nice. I know you're a huge college basketball guy. And like you said, when he was a freshman at Kentucky and they had DeMarcus Cousins, and I mean, the talent they had on that team. And when he first came in the league, he kind of a little bit like Derrick Rose, and that, you know, if they stay healthy, but it took it away. But you're right. It sucks when those kind of things happen. And yeah, I get it. He wasn't a warrior or anything like that. But if this guy had stayed healthy, that's a Hall of Fame guy. I mean, he was just that good, but then injury after injury after injury after injury, man.
That's the thing. You know, when your entire game is based on athleticism and speed that no one can match, you start losing those things. Well, you come back down to reality. It is a shame that John Wall could have never had, John Wall, not Derrick Rose, not to an extent, but, I think of John Wall, and then what's his name from Duke, crashed his bike with the Bulls.
Oh, Jay Williams.
Yeah, that's one of the what might have happened in that career in my lifetimes. There's two out there.
It also sucks when guys who have that much talent never play on a good team, because you'd like to see them. How could, especially in their prime, how could they have executed with a really good team, and what could they have won and everything like that? Because it just, not that the injuries would have made any difference. Injured guys get hurt, but he gets picked by a better team. Some team has an off year, like the Warriors with Wiseman or something, or when the Lakers would get those picks, or when, unfortunately, like Glenn Bias to the Celtics, those kind of things. Like these players who rarely get to be on a good team right out of the gate, they just don't realize, because you toil with these really bad teams. And then it's like, God, you have this career and you're like, God, what if he'd have been, at least gotten an opportunity to play on a bigger stage and more people could have seen him? Because like you said, when Wall first came out, I thought he was going to be an all-time great. It was
like watching an F1 car go up the court with Toyotas. He was so fast. Hit like and subscribe, and do so on both channels, please. Before we hop into a little Today in History, John, tell everyone what you got coming up on your channel this week. What is in the plans? I know that you've taken a daily show that you were doing very early in the morning, and you're basically doing a nighttime show now. Tell us about it.
I run it about 7 o'clock, but I can fluctuate on that. But I've just found that, maybe especially during camp, and I think I'll keep it this way, just kind of going over things from the day and those kind of things, previewing the next day kind of a thing. Because I was going really early in the morning, and like you and I, it's like, okay, it's drive time mornings, but a lot of people are getting ready for work and everything. So I found that at night, more people are tuning in. They're done. Maybe they haven't put the kids to bed quite yet, but so it's been good. And I apologize to others who haven't been able to make the transition, but it's been great. So like 7 o'clock, and like tonight, we'll obviously go over the Niners camp, look ahead to, start doing that kind of stuff on a Tuesday. So yeah, John Lund Unleashed about 7 o'clock on weekdays. And I still do a 10 a.m. Saturday show. So just for that,
we will be, I'll be unleashing with you sometime.
Yes. We talked about it before the show, and look, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but you and I have been doing this a long time. We have a great chemistry together. It's a lot of fun. We've known each other. I've known you ever since I got here 15 years ago. And it's just been a great time. And we've always had a great rapport. We always have a great time together. I love how you put a show together. I love you. I have always loved your opinion and the way you do things. You got balls. You say what you think. You don't care what the ramifications are. And even on YouTube now, it's even more so. So I have got a lot of respect for your game. Always have. And I love doing shows with you. It's great.
Are we not living proof that these program directors have no idea what they're doing? We worked at the same radio station for how many years? They didn't put us together. Not a segment.
No, it's crazy. Yeah, it's things. I'm going to be nice and say things, they have changed. Things have changed. That's all. You used to have to work your way up and bust your ass, and now it's like, how much will you do this show for? Oh, really? We're very interested in you.
Did you ever see the movie UHF, the Weird Al Yankovic movie with Michael Richards playing Stanley Spadowski, the janitor? Hey, Stanley, you want a job? Okay.
Exactly.
You want to drink from the fire hose? Okay.
Yeah. You'll do this for how much? Oh, you're in. But I've never really done this, but I don't care. We don't care.
Doesn't matter. Happy birthday, 78 years old, Slick Billy. Bill Clinton today, 78 years old, probably on a list. Here's the thing. Watch how easy this is. If he's on a list, arrest him, put him behind bars, never to be seen again. See how easy that was? Take him. Take him. We won't miss him for a minute.
That dude has aged over the last number of years, by the way. His life has caught up to him. There's no doubt.
It has. Well, when you ride hard and put it away wet, you're eventually going to start to wrinkle. John Stamos, that handsome SOB, is 61 today. He still looks like he's 30. John Stamos, living a handsome life. Kira Sedgwick, living a beautiful life.
Oh, wow.
59 years old.
Kevin Bacon's wife, right?
Yes, Kira Sedgwick out there. Happy 54th birthday to Fat Joe. It's Fat Joe's birthday. And I will say this, happy 27th birthday to what I think is the current breakout star of the current Saturday Night Live cast, Marcelo Hernandez.
Good call.
He's the funny young up-and-comer. Marcelo Hernandez will be the first guy of this group of Saturday Night Live hosts that gets his own movie deal with Lorne Michaels. You watch. Marcelo Hernandez.
Good call.
He's funny. He's 27. Happy birthday to all involved. Today in 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts. You even know where this is going. What do we do in Salem? We burn witches.
Exactly. That's all I could think of.
5 people, 1 woman, 4 clergymen, including 4 men, including a clergyman, were executed after being convicted of witchcraft. Again, the 4 dudes, 1 woman. This just wasn't about misogyny. This was about all sorts of weird things that Puritans believed. So there you go. Happy Salem witch trials, everybody.
God, how would that be nowadays? That's witchcraft, man. That's a burning.
It would. I'm guessing public burnings played a lot better back then than they would today.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't do so well today.
Today in 1849, and this just shows you how long it took to get information, get prepared, and make the trip out here. Why are they called the 49ers? It's because of the 1849 gold rush. Well, today in 1848, a year before, the New York Herald published its first story about a gold rush happening in California.
Wow.
A year later, it was fully underway, but just the promise of gold in a New York newspaper brought an awful lot of the population to the West Coast, and the gold rush officially began with a newspaper article about there being gold in them there hills today in 1848.
Wow. That's good knowledge right there is what that is. That's great. You can impress somebody with that today.
By the way,
started.
The circumstances and life is timing. Thank God that the gold rush didn't happen in 1848, because the 48ers is a terrible name for a football team, but the 49ers just rings.
It does ring. That's a good point.
Yeah.
The 48ers. I don't know. It just sounds weird.
Yeah. No, 49ers works. No other number really works. The 42ers, 41. No. But you get the 49ers and you're like, that's fucking perfect. Let's go with that. Let's see. Today in 1909, the very first automobile race happened at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They would then, of course, move that. But first race today at the Speedway. In 1934, the first All-American Soapbox Derby was held in Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
A charming relic of the past. The Soapbox Derby. Speaking of charming relics of the past, while we were racing Soapbox Derbies for the first time today in Dayton, Ohio in 1934, in Germany, 90% of the people were working on a referendum that made Adolf Hitler the Führer. Oh. Way to go, Germany.
Wow.
So,
this guy looks like he's going to do a good job for us.
Charming Americana, Adolf Hitler happening somewhere else. And look at where we are. It all comes full circle. I'm not getting into politics. Again, if you got Bill Clinton's name on a list, fucking arrest him. See how easy that is? See how easy that is?
Oh, man.
All right. Today in 1973, the real Texas Chainsaw Massacre occurred.
Wow.
Now, there was never a Leatherface. That guy was made up for the movies, but there was a house in Texas with the family that kept mutilated corpses, and there was some cannibalism thrown in. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was born out of a semi-true story. Creepy people. Some people walking around in Texas. I'm just throwing that out there.
We don't seem to have as many of that kind of stuff, like like the Dahmers and the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. It's been a while. That's good.
Again, it's harder than ever before to burn anyone at the stake. And it's harder than ever before to practice in a little.
That's a good point. What are you burning on that farm over there? That's a good point.
Be like, this guy hasn't checked into LinkedIn in 3 months. Where is he?
Let's go check on that guy. That's a good point.
Is it harder to disappear than ever before? I think it might be.
Oh, yeah. I don't give any doubt.
Today in 2004, so we're getting into more modern times, the search engine company Google raised $1.66 billion in its IPO. It was an unusual move. The shares were sold in public for the very first time around, so the average investor would feel like they're on equal footing. Hey, maybe you bought in, maybe you're doing really, really well in Google. You're probably not doing as well as those who had the inside information, though.
Oh. Doesn't that piss you off? Like they talk about Bitcoin and Google and all the Apple and all the different things you could have had and could have done, and you'd be on easy street right now.
John, I was at a party. Up in Napa. I'm not even joking, like 16 years ago. And this guy was talking about Bitcoin.
You're like, whatever.
And I'm like, well, first of all, it can't happen because here's what I think I know about the internet. I know nothing about the internet. And then, I'm like, no currency without an army backing it will ever carry any value. So what are you just making shit up? Like, this is monopoly money. What are you doing? And he's like, well, I'll tell you what, man, Bitcoins are being sold for like $200 a pop right now. You should buy like 5 of them just to have it. And I'm like, why would I throw away $1,000?
Well, I mean, that's not as bad as what was the one guy paid for a Bitcoin for a pizza and that kind of stuff back in the day and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it drives you. It's just like, like you said, 5 Bitcoins. You'd still be doing this for the love of it because that's the kind of guy you are. But man,
I'd be doing it less.
Exactly. That's true too.
By the way, we always applaud new members, and Carlos Niner 94 has just become a member.
Good dude. Yeah, he's on. I see him a lot. Good dude.
There you go. We always welcome new members, and thank you for supporting John. Thank you for supporting any channel with a membership. Like and subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And this is where we end today's show, John, because we have ourselves a little bit of an anniversary. It's awkward. I hope this doesn't trigger any like trademark monetizing issues for us. We might have to delete this, but it's too good to not at least try to play. As I click share screen here. Today in 2020, this happened.
Over on the mound. I made a comment earlier tonight that I guess went out over the air that I am deeply ashamed of. If I have hurt anyone out there, I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith.
Here it comes.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
And that's where we just got to wrap it up right there. Look,
that was incredible.
I'm not here to crap on Tom Brenamman. I have a theory. I'll share the theory. I can share my theory here. I could never share it on the radio. But that was maybe the most iconic home run call of the Twitter age. And that says something, doesn't it? I mean, that comes on, man.
And Castellanos. I mean, all you have to do is say Castellanos, and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
Have
unbelievable.
you ever been reading something and then out of nowhere in the middle of a paragraph, they'll just start with "There's a deep drive to left." And I'm like,
I mean, seriously, it's so iconic. It's like the Gibson home run, the Castellanos home run. Yeah, totally different reason, but yeah.
I think Tom Brenamman's been he's coming back in a way. I think he's got a deal doing Big 12 games this year. I've met Tom Brenamman. Tom Brenamman's a good guy. He's not a bad guy. I don't think he's got a hateful thing in his heart. You want to know what my theory is here? I think he was watching the movie Blazing Saddles. Like the night before.
Right.
Because only in the movie Blazing Saddles have they ever made fun of Kansas City as being like a swishy, light in the shoes town.
Right.
I mean, there's a part and he's like, a bunch of Kansas City faggots. And like that's a part of the movie, and it's the joke. I think he was watching Blazing Saddles
and it came out
before this happened, and he is telling a crude joke that he thought was not going to go out over the air, and it was in pre-roll, and it went out over the air, and that's what got him in trouble. And I don't think Tom Brenamman hates gays as much as he just loves Blazing Saddles.
That's a interesting theory. I'll tell you, it scares the hell out of me, and you've done this a long time too. It's just I just learned a long time ago. I never put on the headset and say anything, or when I was on the radio or TV or anything, and say anything of any type of controversy, because you just don't know.
Well,
you just don't.
The best advice any broadcaster has ever had or could give to another broadcaster is simply this: every microphone's a live microphone.
Right.
All of them. Every microphone you're in front of is a live microphone, whether it is or isn't, treated as such, and it'll be easier to survive a career than if you don't.
At the very least, for every broadcaster, there's at least a moment, one, where you were talking and you were over the air, and people are, especially in the age of the text line. So I remember one time I was sitting there and the text line is like, "Lund, we can hear you." And I start thinking to myself, what did I say?
What did I just say?
Yeah. What did I just say?
Because there's no way you and Papa were discussing anything.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I was on the air one time where I was on location, and it was 5 minutes before my show started. I was doing a morning show, and it's 5:55, and I wasn't even on yet. So I'm talking back to my producer thinking I'm not on the air. Right. And all of a sudden the text line's in front of me going, "Lund, we can hear you. Lund, we can hear you. Lund, we can hear you." And I'm like, it's 5 minutes till my show's even on. And so I asked my producer, I'm like, what were we talking about? Like, I don't even know.
Right.
So
you're in queue. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right now, the last 2 minutes before every show I ever hosted on the radio, I would go grab my producer and say all of the vicious, this in trouble shit just to get it out.
Right.
And I would be like, so somebody, because I thought this was funny and you think it's funny. So when the audience is going to ever hear this, but at least I got confirmation that I'm still funny. And this is, so I would get it all out.
And then it'll be the time for the show, the clean version.
And then Ray Rata would lean forward. He'd be like, "Don't say any of that."
Well, we've all had it, man. I mean, we've had F-bombs go over and everything, but man, that Brenamman thing, he had to and he was right. He goes, "Don't know if I'm going to be hitting this headset on again." Well, not for a while.
I feel for him. I mean, think of the sinking of your heart.
Oh,
and
he
just,
knew.
Everything that I've ever worked for. My dad's a Hall of Fame broadcaster.
Right.
And here I am. And I hung myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that when the producer said to him, "Tom, that went over the air," he just had to be like, "Ugh." I mean, he knew, man.
And again, our friend Glenn Kuiper.
Yeah.
Who's working back from something incredibly controversial too. The feeling in his heart when they're like, "Glenn, look at what you did." It just must. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to run. Yeah. It's just, you are now about to be tossed on the seas of the least forgiving public opinion of all time. And, oh man, that's rough. That is rough. Hey, every now and then I get a text from him, and that's good. What's your latest on Greg Papa?
Thanks for asking,
man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I had a chance to talk to him at length, and we text every single day, and he's fighting the fight. He's back home. He's out of the hospital, and he's fighting the fight. And I think he's going to be fine, but he's got the only thing I'll say is he's got a road ahead of him. It ain't gonna. This isn't just an easy deal. He's got a road ahead of him, but he's gonna be all right. But he has definitely got a road ahead of him. That's for sure.
Well, we wish him the very best of traveling that road for sure. We're all thinking of Greg. I love the opportunity that Guy Haberman's getting. I know that Guy is excited about this opportunity, but crestfallen over why it's come to him. Greg, feel better. Guy, keep breaking a leg. John, thank you so much. This is effortless, dude. This is so much fun. We got to keep doing shows together. And thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks again. Eat at Ike's, drink at the Dubliner, West Portal, and take care of yourselves. It's a gorgeous day outside. Go outside, enjoy it a little bit, get some sunshine. I'm going to mow my lawn at some point here. I'm very excited. I like a nice little lawn mowing.
Me too. Who doesn't?
I mean, I don't need a John Deere rider mower. I basically have I have a postage stamp in my front yard, and I've got a first down. I got about 10 yards to deal with in my backyard, but there will be mowing, and that makes me happy. Let's just say I like working with grass. Thank you very much for tuning in today, John. Thank you for being here. You're
always
the man.
My pleasure.
And we'll ask everyone to hit like and subscribe across both channels. And if you would, please remember that sports don't build character; they reveal it. And like that, they're gone.